I think they said you're muted.
I thought I unmuted myself. What did I unmute? I unmuted a completely useless bus. All right, we're gonna go one more time, everybody. Here we come in now. Let's see. Let's just fade to black. There we go. See you all in a second.
You things hurt as much when you're. Oh yeah, you dial in inside.
It's really the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for July 5th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Us Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today we're back and so is the gaming news, but first please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Us Mornings. It's Jesse Don Cabeza Norris. Jesse, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't believe you got this perfectly the first try.
I know, first try. That's what we do over here. That first take is all you need. You just take it and go and get out of here is what we say. Jesse, how was your 4th of July weekend?
Great, because the kids weren't here. It was really, I love them, but it was nice and relaxing and going on a vacation right after this. You just snuck in under the wire, literally leaving right when we're done. It's been really nice and relaxing. How was your July 4th, Jeff? It
was good. I'm still surprisingly busy, did a lot of stuff, mostly working around the house and things like that. But we got a bunch of stuff done in time to enjoy yesterday and go to the fireworks, and that was a really good time. So good long holiday weekend. I appreciated it. I am still not enough time for all the video games I want to play. And turning the headlines on. That's right. Good idea. Let's do that right now. And
you know what I did? I went and saw that Indiana Jones movie that's getting middling reviews, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I've heard it's okay to really fun is what I've heard from most people. I think I need to go see it. I need to go see it for myself and figure it out.
There's a way to describe it that's very just spoilery on what it's going to end up being. But there are people who want it to be hard, historical, and people who like the supernatural, and I think they're clashing a bit.
Yeah, I got that sense with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull a little bit, where like a lot of the criticisms were like, this is absurd, and it's like all that stuff is things that kind of happen in the other movies. It's the supernatural stuff. I think most people don't really have a problem, or if they do have a problem with that stuff, they don't care because they like the other ones so much more or whatever. I think they don't notice. But yeah, I definitely remember Kingdom of the Crystal Skull having that same issue.
I really don't like Shia LaBeouf and the fact that his character's name is Mutt.
Well,
I think that did it in.
The most supernatural element of all, Shia LaBeouf. He cannot be explained, and we won't even attempt to do so on this show. What we will do is explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with a rumor that dev kits for the Switch Successor are being sent out now. This is from Go Nintendo. We'll start here. I was kind of half paying attention to this story over the weekend, Jesse, and I'm reading this. I think it's hard for me to put my finger on like how credible this stuff is. Let's just start with it is definitely a rumor. It's likely going to be a considerable amount of time before we hear any concrete information on what the Switch's successor will offer in any regard. While we wait for those details to come in, you could probably guess how things will go. Rumors are going to pop up here and there, leaving us to speculate on what's really going on. Looks like we're kicking off those rumors today. Roughly 3 years back, a leaker named Nash Weedle took to Twitter to mention rumors of the Metroid series returning. They had heard that the project was going to be a new 2D Metroid and suspected that it could be Metroid Dread. As we all now know, Metroid Dread did indeed make its way to the Switch, so this leaker has at least some credibility. Fast forward to 2023, and the same leaker has shared some interesting info once again. According to them, at least one dev kit from the Switch Successor has found its way out into the wild. Furthermore, the leaker claims that a Spanish studio is the one that received the dev kit. You might recall that Mercury Steam is the team that handled Metroid Dread, and they happen to be located in Spain. This This lines up time-wise for me, Jesse, where I think that now is probably when a studio like Mercury Steam would be getting a dev kit for a follow-up to the Switch, based on like when we think that system's actually coming. I don't know. Does that sound right to you?
It does, and as we learned from Jim Ryan, it's very dangerous to send out dev kits.
That's one of the most dangerous things you can do.
Yeah.
Give that information to anybody. Listen, you give that information to a Microsoft employee, they will kill you with it.
They're going to steal the new Switch design and make an Xbox handheld.
That was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get where you're coming from, Jim. Like, yeah, sure. Of course, you don't want to give your PlayStation 6 stuff to Phil Spencer. I get it, but that's not anti-competitive. That's just you making a decision based on the realities. However, I hear a million things. I hear over and over again that we're going to hear about the Switch successor before the end of this year. I think that's still entirely possible. Who knows? But I do think, like, if a Switch successor is coming out in next year, which I feel like is probably right. A studio like Mercury Steam's got to be working on something already, and they probably want to have the dev kit ready to go so they can get that stuff popped up and ready to go on the Switch successor. You look at what they told Ubisoft, like, hey, we don't want to have more than one game from a series on the Switch. Like, you should wait till the next one. You can imagine, like, they already have Mercury Steam working on a follow-up to Metroid Dread.
Or knowing Nintendo, Metroid Dread Remastered.
Metroid Dread Remastered, exactly. But don't put that out on the Switch. Put that out on the follow-up. That makes some sense. Do you think that this is accelerating the timeline than compared to what you thought was going to happen with the Switch successor, or what?
With how weak the Switch is versus how well it's sold, I pretty much always throw up my hands and say, I don't know. I don't know when they're going to do it because it's selling so well. Their games are selling so well. They're probably not in a rush. And if they wait and they can get something really solid from NVIDIA at their normal price. And Kotick talked about it in the thing, didn't he? The case. And he was like, it's expected to be Xbox One PS4 power, which I think for Nintendo would be cool, especially if they're going for 1080p. It should be fine for that again. And if it's got the DLSS and can upscale, awesome possum. But I completely honestly, I always threw up my hands and said, I hope it's soon, because I think their games look great when I emulate them, and I wish I didn't have to, because it's scary, because Nintendo's scary. But
yes, I think that rumor about, or the rumor, the speculation, I think that the Switch 2 will be around a PS4 or a Xbox is like, yeah, that's probably right. It's gonna, I think. With DLSS, it'll probably actually end up performing better than those systems, I think, is pretty likely. But that seems to be the right spot to actually, for the metal itself, for the
handheld
processor.
Mode, it might be around that because of the the lack of power.
Exactly, and that's more than fair. And I hope they don't target 1080 on the handheld side. Just 720. It's all we need. Yeah.
Or 900, like depending on your screen size. If they got a little bit bigger screen, a nice little OLED, that's about 900p.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, that would be ideal. We did also see those rumors about NX2 popping up in the not the dev kit, but like the dev portal.
Dev portal, yeah, like their website thing for it.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's for people that don't remember, NX was the code name for the Switch before it came out. For years we were like, hey, yeah, the NX.
NX, Nintendo secretly huge NXX fans.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. Shigeru Miyamoto's been to every. He used to tour with them. He would follow them around. I don't know how much I believe that one. That one seems too cute. It's too like, oh yeah, now NX2, here it is in the dev portal. That's too easy for someone to just take a screenshot of. I mean, I guess maybe Nintendo wouldn't also care.
Nintendo's a leaky boat.
Yeah,
people go on about it, but Nintendo is, as you know, more than pretty much anyone. They do leak a lot, and they still don't seem to really understand the internet and websites the best. So I can see it.
It's a very funny sentence. They don't understand websites. It's like,
Microsoft didn't for a long time.
Oh, yeah,
their entire
sure.
shows used to leak nonstop in their press portal thing they had.
Yep. I also Airy Buster in chat says Nintendo wouldn't codename a console NX2. That also feels right to me. But some of these rumors are going to be false. Some of them are going to be true as we kind of get closer and closer to the release of this thing, to the announcement right now. I'll go back to say that a few weeks ago we said, hey, something, Nintendo's going to do something in July. I think that's probably still true. And it's, they had their real E3 like direct at the end of June. They might do something in July. I still don't think it's hardware related. I'd be very surprised if it was them announcing NX in any capacity.
Labo 2.
NX 2, excuse me. What was that?
Labo 2. Labo. I need more Labo.
That's what it is. That makes a ton of sense, actually. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So we'll see. I think if they do an announcement this year, it's maybe closer to September, and it's a quick teaser trailer or something like that.
Just was talking about it's going to be like the biggest TGS. They're coming back big, and everyone's going to be there. So I mean, it could be that again. I know, like Gamescom and TGS seem to be picking up steam now that E3 is dead.
Mm-hmm.
So because Microsoft just said we're back on the show floor at Gamescom again, and they were at TGS. I really wonder if Sony would be back there, because they used to do a lot at TGS, and then they just kind of, in the Jim Ryan, we don't really care about.
I think we have a story later about Tokyo Game Show Exhibitors, and we'll get to that. That'll be
nice.
That'll be perfect. All right, let's move along here. Microsoft says that the PlayStation 5 Slim is likely coming later in 2023.
I must have been listening to Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming.
I think they might have been as well. From John Rooney at Exhibitors, Microsoft has battled the FTC in court over its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard for $69 billion in the last week. Multiple interesting bits of information have surfaced online ever since. In a legal document handed over to the United States District Court for the Northern District of California, San Francisco Division, it's been claimed that Sony is plotting to release a slimmer version of the PlayStation 5 later this year. The hearings for the case are now over, and it all boils down to a single judge to decide in favor or against Microsoft for the industry giant's buyout of Activision. For the preliminary injunction, anyhow. The Microsoft versus Federal Trade Commission case has brought a number of interesting facts and details to light, such as the Xbox owners' long-term ambitions, which revolve around generating over $500 billion in revenue by 2030. Apart from that, something more specific for us console enthusiasts has been spotted in a legal document handed over to the court by executives. And that is the PlayStation 5 Slim releases this year as per the official document. On the 45th page of the document, it's been said, quote, PlayStation likewise sells a less expensive digital edition for $400 and is expected to release a PlayStation 5 Slim later this year at the same reduced price point. This is a fairly surprising scenario given how the statement anticipates the slimmer PlayStation 5 to arrive with pricing that's on par with the digital variant of the console. As you pointed out, these rumors originally came from Tom Henderson. It wouldn't even surprise me, as you alluded to, that Microsoft believes this because of that reporting. Of course, they can have other sources. That stuff happens all the time.
Their own super spies.
They have their super spies, you see. That's a big... The Mr. Bean is over there at PlayStation on behalf of Microsoft, and they're finding out what's going on. Yes, I guess let's just start with the pricing there, that the skepticism around that. This thing's not going to have a disk drive. It's going to be a PS5 Slim, but it's going to be basically the digital edition. And then they are reportedly going to sell an external disk drive that you plug into the PS5, and that'll be how they handle stuff going forward. I don't know. I mean, I suppose if they have the PS5 Pro, I expect that to have a disk drive. But right now, I think they're trying to get people very used to the idea of most consoles coming from Sony not having a disk drive. This thing probably is coming out later this year, but when did they announce it?
God, I don't know. Whenever they feel like it. I think they've come to realize that they can just kind of announce things when they want, and their fans are fine with it. Like doing God of War and Spider-Man stuff really close instead of having a full, expensive, long year marketing thing. So if you got a new console coming, it doesn't really change much. I really doubt, maybe I end up being wrong. I doubt that $400 price, because if it's the only PlayStation 5 moving forward, why would they knock it down $150 from they're selling them no matter what? Having it 50 less, having it maybe go back down to their $500 launch price, because it's just money they're going to sell them anyways. They're selling everything they make. So and they haven't shown a propensity this generation for doing heavy price cuts to try and chase anything, because they're just selling nonstop no matter what. And the $400 digital was always a paper launch. That thing that doesn't really exist. It's like 5% of all the PlayStations they make, 5 to 10 at the most. So I cannot imagine them just completely flip flopping their price structure like that. But this thing definitely seems real. Hopefully, it's a lot smaller. I'd be a lot more interested then because my desk is actually kind of full. And taking my son's one from downstairs, that thing is so tall, it's above my monitor when I stick it behind it. So something smaller and a little quieter, that'd be nice.
Do you think it's that they changed like the form factor, the aesthetic form factor? Because I wonder if it's just like actually just the same thing but shrunk down. We know that they can shrink it down based on
their new
revisions.
heating is a lot smaller,
exactly.
So they can. I think they
lighter. Yes,
they can definitely make the form factor a lot smaller. Maybe they still keep the the pop collar look and everything, but it's 5 inches shorter and not nearly as long and fat, and maybe it can stand on its own without a really flimsy, shitty stand.
People in chat are just like, please change it, please. No, I hate it, and I'm like, I still kind of. I like it. I think it's ugly in a fun way.
We like the stupid stuff.
Yes,
but as far as actually an aesthetic for people that care about how it looks in their room, it's terrible.
Yeah, and that's y'all just have to deal with it. They probably do end up making some more significant changes, especially if they are
slim. You gotta change it a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I do going back to the price. I wonder if it's if this is them saying, going to 400 is us giving back some price, like some revenue that we would make. But if we are moving most people to digital and all digital, we'll make it up. So maybe it's worth it. But I kind of think that I tend to think that you're right. That why would they give back that price increase? They already won that battle. Kind of be weird if they gave up that ground. Most of these companies don't tend to do that.
Unless that little disk drive add-on is like $100 instead of 50 to 75, because who knows? I could
easily see, yes.
Yeah, but even if it like 450 at the lowest would be what I would think to keep that, because they just raised everything. So then to have a revision that knocks it down would be a really good PR win. I think it would be smart if they think it's financially viable. I just don't see them thinking it is because they're already selling out nonstop.
Yep. We'll see. I think, so we're in July now. If this thing is coming out later this year, I could see a pretty late announcement, as late as September, for something like this. Although it could happen earlier. I have zero idea, but I could see, like in the most extreme example, it getting announced in early September and then coming out in like late October, early November. I
wouldn't be shocked trying to get it around, because I know Xbox, and I talked to you before about, I really felt like they were holding off going for the cloud for two reasons. They were trying to build up the cloud for the future, but also it made them look bad for ABK because they're trying to look terrible for ABK.
Yep.
But now, right when Starfield's coming out, hey, we're gonna have way more. So right with Spider-Man 2 coming out, their big release of the year, that's probably going to sell like 20 million copies, then having a brand new PlayStation at the same time to pull people in, one that's by default all digital and you can spend more if you want to make it not, I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
In October.
And it's everyone knows. Everyone listening to this knows it's been 3 years. It's going to be 3 years this holiday. Of course they have something new. So I think that's why we're all so credulous about these reports. I mean, not to of course, because Tom Henderson's track record here is pretty solid, makes it very easy, but also just, I would probably be speculating that we'd be getting a slim around this time.
We wanted a slim the moment we saw how big this one was.
Yeah. We've seen 3-ish revisions from Sony, like the stealth revisions for the PS5. Like they've been building up to this from the beginning as well. It wasn't very long before we got that first revision. And then when we saw the very extreme revision of the cooling inside really shrink, and then the motherboard shrank to the point where it's like, oh, there's a lot of unused space now in this chassis. Of course, like that entire time, it's like they're cutting cost, but they're building towards a slim model that actually makes all this make more sense when you put it together, so they could save even more money. And I think that they're well on their way to doing that. All right, so let's get to this next story. EA Sports FC seemingly set to launch on September 29th. This comes from Eric Hittleback-Furu at Game Reactor. We already knew EA Sports is set to fully unveil EA Sports FC, the first football game from EA without the FIFA label on it, later this month. But a sneaky devil took the kickoff before the publisher was ready. The usually very reliable Bill Coon claims that EA Sports FC 24 is set to launch on the 29th of September. EA hasn't changed its successful recipe especially much. However, as you can get the game on the 22nd of September by buying the Ultimate Edition. Expect to get an official confirmation of this and more in a few days. Not much there, but do you think that it's that they're going to miss a beat with the name change?
Nope, not one. I think they talked about it enough where I think most people will get it, especially seeing because EA FIFA it was always the two things. It's EA Sports FIFA game. Because there had been other FIFA stuff in the past, but always having the Electronic Arts on there. And there was also something I saw where they might be doing a beta test because it leaked on the Xbox store. They will pay a lot in marketing this year to make sure people know what the heck this is. I think
you're right. I think we're gonna see a major blitz. I think a beta is a good way to get that buzz going inside the community, to the wider community, the more casual audience that just shows up.
We'll still call it FIFA forever.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Even when FIFA puts out their world-beating competitor, that's going to be the greatest thing you've ever seen.
They've got 4 licensed FIFA things coming. I think they're mostly mobile NFT shit.
Yep. And for people that are wondering what we're talking about, FIFA wanted to charge EA about $1 billion for the name going forward, and that's all FIFA really provides is the name FIFA.
Not even the players.
Not the players, the teams, all that stuff is licensed separately. FIFA is it's the FIFA World Cup, right? So this could cause some problems when a World Cup edition of EA Sports FC comes around in the future. But beyond that, it was really just the name. And then at the time when EA's like, we're not going to pay you that, we're going to pull out and do our own thing and change the name. FIFA basically went Donald Trump. It was like, we're going to make the most beautiful football game you've ever seen. It's going to
They're just as corrupt, too.
Yes. Yeah.
It works.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll see. September 29th for that. Next story, Red Dead Redemption remaster rumors are swirling yet again. This comes from Tom Phillips at Eurogamer. Word of a re-release of Rockstar's original Red Dead Redemption is doing the rounds ahead of a potential reveal in the not-too-distant future. A fresh rating for Red Dead Redemption via the leaky Korea ratings board popped up last week, setting tongues wagging that Rockstar had quietly submitted a fresh version of its cowboy classic to be approved for release. Details of that listing point to a new console version of the game, thanks Gamatsu, rather than anything only for PC. This is the first time that word of a Red Dead Redemption remaster has been reported. In July 2022, a Kotaku report claimed that work on Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto 4 remasters had been underway within Rockstar, but that these projects had been shelved due to the poor reception of the GTA trilogy release. A year later, the author of that piece has now said via Twitter that he's heard the Red Dead remaster had simply been taking a pause, and that Rockstar understands the demand for the project to see release. Colin Moriarty on his show also said, I have seen confirmation that this is real. I had someone reach out to me behind the scenes that showed me something that definitively shows this game is coming, maybe even imminently with an announcement, maybe in August. This is one where Red Dead Redemption, for a long time, people were like, this is a weird one that they would give up on after the GTA trilogy issues. Because we know that there is demand for Red Dead Redemption. They can just do that one right. Obviously, it's difficult. They can't do what they did on the GTA trilogy, but they could still make Red Dead Redemption 1 a big release on these modern consoles. People would really like that. It's been kind of stuck where it's been on its original launch platforms. So it always made sense, it felt like. So it was weird with the rumors that Rockstar had given up on it and was just going to let it languish in the past. This makes more sense that actually they've come back around. They did get back to work on it, and now it is here and it's coming very soon. Yet another big remaster for this year. How do you feel about it?
As somebody who covers Xbox, it's actually fantastic on there. The only thing it needs is a frame rate boost, so it'll be really nice because that game holds up real well. I'm curious what they've changed, if anything, graphically. Because if you play that in back compat mode on a Series X with the resolution boost, it still looks really damn good.
It was one of the big things when that mode was coming out with the Xbox Series X at launch. It's one of those games I did a lot of testing with because it just looked so good. It really popped off the screen with like the not the faux HDR, but the machine learning HDR, however they program it, whatever. And then yes, the frame rate boost, all that stuff. It just looks so good. They could like start there, basically do like get all that stuff going in a native version of the game, and then clean up a few other tidbits here and there, and they can resell that. Of course they can, especially on other systems, especially on PC. I think that one.
Yeah, getting it on PC seems to be the big reason to do this.
Yes. Now we know that that this is a console listing on the Korean ratings board. I gotta think a PC version is coming.
That would be the point, man. Like when Nick talked about the collection being done for Xbox, and everyone guessed it was Gears because it was way too obvious. It's like the main reason to do it. Yeah, Gears 2 and 3 look really good on console with the back compat stuff, but getting things on PC now is like the big play, because if it hasn't been there, that's where you're actually going to get a ton more sales than you ever did before.
Yeah. Our Wolves brings up a point that I was thinking as well. Maybe the PC version comes later. This is something Rockstar's done in the past.
Yeah, they like doing that.
Do they do it with a remaster? I don't know. You know, it's something that is possible, though. And the reason that Rockstar likes doing that is they can really focus on one version, and then they can basically have a secondary launch, because people on whatever platform get very excited for Rockstar games and make it feel like a big deal when it gets that later port. And that worked out for them very well with Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5, which, GTA 5, came to 360 and PS3. Jesus Christ, was it really that long ago? And then a year later,
and it just hit Game Pass today, by the way.
Yeah,
oddly enough,
Game Pass today. That's right. And then a year later, it goes to the next gen consoles, and then a year after that, it finally went to PC. And it's like, so they had 3 launches in like for 3 years in a row for that game, and they really, really, really like doing that. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this is just the console version for now, and then 3 to 6 months later, we get the PC version. That would also make sense.
Yep.
All right. Sega has recently filed a new trademark for Sonic and Friends. I honestly don't even know what this is. So let's find out together, everybody. This is from My Nintendo News. Sega has filed a new trademark on the Japanese trademark website Shizei Watch for something called Sonic and Friends. Sonic site, Sonic Stadium, says that this is definitely a video game related trademark and not just a general trademark for the Sonic the Hedgehog brand. The Sonic and Friends trademark also mentions something called the Commodity Service Programs for Home Use Television Game Machines. Sonic Friends is thought to be a mobile game, which is being developed by Sega Hardlight, which is the team behind Sonic Dash, Sonic Racing, and more. That sounds about right. So what do you want from like a maybe off kilter Sonic game on mobile? It's like I guess I never. Maybe they do have this and I don't know. But the Chow Gardens, do they have that? Maybe they could do that But
imagine there's a bunch of. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a bunch of Japanese Sonic only game or Japan only Sonic stuff.
Yeah.
What I would like is like, because it's a touchscreen, you can grab it, you can pull back. Just give me like a Sonic spinball, and I can aim him and shoot him out as a pinball. That'd probably be fun.
Yes, I would enjoy that. I think a social sim, Animal Crossing light, diet Animal Crossing.
Let us date human ladies as Sonic. Let us relive Sonic for 6.
Of course, Sonic and Friends, and Friends in heavy quotes, and
there's a WB at the end, really small behind Friends. Yeah.
And then you come in there with your platforming plan and see how that goes for you. We'll see. All right. Next up, Banjo Kazooie developer doesn't think there's an audience for a new game. This comes from Ben Leon at Game Reactor. Anyone still hopeful for more Banjo Kazooie, despite years and years of nothing seemingly being in the works, should probably start putting their faith elsewhere, as even the series' developers aren't convinced that the world is really ready for a new installment. Speaking with VGC, when asked about a third Banjo game, composer Grant Kirkhope added, "I feel like you'd have to get a team with the humor that we had back then, and that's hard to replicate," he said. "I think Rare would be open to somebody if they found the right team, but I don't feel like that team exists. Also, I'm not convinced that the audience is there either." Truly devastating to hear, but probably very accurate. I don't know. Fortunately, lead programmer Chris Sutherland is more interested in leaving the door open for more Banjo. "I would hope that somebody is going to bring out something, some kind of sequel or next in line game, at least before a point where I could still remember that the first one existed, but hopefully sooner." I don't agree. We know that these franchises can transform and still continue. I get that the the feeling. This is something that you could probably feel if you just remember what happened with Nuts and Bolts, where it's like Rare put a bunch of effort into that and did a really good job trying to transform that game.
The
for the
original
future.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, exactly. The original Tears of the Kingdom. And that game should have taken over, and it didn't. So there must not be an audience for this. Gaming's changed a lot. I think that first of all, the audiences are way bigger. I think that the nostalgia for Banjo Kazooie is real, and then also I think that we can look to other platforming franchises and the ones that have Mario and Ratchet and Clank and stuff. I think Banjo Kazooie is like maybe not at that tier, but it's not that far behind realistically in terms of how excited people get about it. And if you give them something that is what they want, but also surprises them, I think you can have a huge success with Banjo Kazooie. What do you think?
It's just going to come down to the main thing is which dev would do it.
Yeah.
If they find a dev that wants to do it and has a good pitch, I think 100% it would get made. And if it's good, it would do fine. And with the metrics being different when you're on Game Pass, and you can be on Xbox, you can be on PC, you can be on Steam. Maybe that's the type of one they would throw on the next Nintendo console, because it's got a long history there. I know Phil's been pretty we're gonna be where Game Pass is. Maybe Nick's friggin' rumor about there being a Nintendo and Xbox deal from 2 years ago finally comes true, and you get some Game Pass games on there. That'd be nice. But who knows?
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's I think that you really spotted it though. Like it comes down to the development team and how many studios are out there that could pull off something like this and have the right pitch and aren't already busy working on 5 other things. The answer to that is actually 0. We know that every studio is busy right now.
I have one guess, because I know my guess would be the one everyone else would probably say, which would be Double Fine, because they are first party. Yeah. They're just finished something very big. The only thing that seemed to be rumored to be working on is that Killing Game, which was a game jam thing they had done a couple years ago and put on the back burner to go do Psychonauts 2. But I mean, who knows? Outside of that, they've got Xbox Studio Publishing, and then Rare wants to oversee things, even if they're not the ones doing them, like they did with Battletoads and who was it, Delilah. So if Rare hears a good pitch and they trust the studio that's working on it, I think we could. I don't know if or when, but I do think it could have an audience. It's not going to be a 30 million seller Mario audience. Nothing is, but
no.
Yeah,
but
even Mario.
I think more family games in Game Pass make a lot of sense, and Banjo Kazooie,
that's what he's talked about that a lot every time. Yeah,
and I think they should be making some of those at home. I think those games should not just be family games, but wide appealing games. And Banjo Kazooie could absolutely be that. And I'm hopeful that they see the light on that and actually make it happen. In terms of Double Fine, you said that, and I'm like, man, I know that they want to make original stuff. I think they could do some very cool things if they did start picking some IP off the shelf. If not Banjo Kazooie, I was thinking the other day they would be a fun studio to, especially if their next game is going to be a more big budget thing, which we have no idea if it is. But they're in a position now where they have Microsoft money, and maybe they say, hey, we could make our next thing bigger than we've ever made before. It could be bigger than Psychonauts 2, a game that definitely feels like it's in that AAA space in a way that Double Fine games have not been. I would like them to take Crimson Skies and make it an action adventure with a heavy emphasis on the adventure game side of stuff. Take that legacy of Tim Schafer and make it a fun adventure romp. And then with still lots of action gameplay and then flying sequences. I think that would be really fun, but that's a dream for another time.
Them not having to worry about their budget if you watch that documentary and just how tough it is. I know the scope was really big and it was kind of crushing at times, but if you don't have to worry about the budget part of it, and with the way Microsoft's trying to build things and giving teams time and just say, take your time, hopefully they'd be able to do it in a much healthier way overall.
Chat is bullying me. Chat's bullying. They're bullying me. I said my Crimson Skies idea, and they're like, Star Fox Adventures. And then Airy Buster says Crimson Skies Dinosaur Island. All right, fine. I think it's a good idea. You guys don't have to. All right, let's keep moving here. Tokyo Game Show Tokyo Game Show 2023 exhibitors. Let's get into this story from William D'Angelo over at VG Charts. And just a quick note: we're not using their sales charts. This is just a news story. The Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association, CESA, announced will be the largest ever for the event, as it will use the entire Makuhari Messe venue in China, Japan. I don't know if that's the right city in Japan. I don't think there's a city in Japan called China. Despite these restrictions, the venue was filled with exhibitors and game fans who had been waiting for the show to be held for real, and the excitement return to Makuhari Messe, said CESA. The high evaluation of the exhibition by exhibitors and visitors alike made us realize once again the high demand and importance of holding a real exhibition under any circumstance.
It was Chiba City.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tokyo Game Show 2023 will run from Thursday, September 21st to Sunday, September 24th, and will be no age restrictions this year, as children under 12 years old will be allowed to attend, and there will be family-friendly exhibition areas. CESA has revealed the complete list of official exhibitors, and this is the meat of this story, which includes Sony Interactive Entertainment with an indie game area only, Nintendo business meeting area only, Microsoft Xbox, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Koei Tecmo, Konami, Level 5, Sega Atlas, Square Enix, Kojima Productions, merchandise sales only, and many more. All those other ones that didn't have a caveat, they seem to be like full attendees. But at least it seems like everybody you would expect that might be at a Tokyo Game Show will at least have some presence, and they're probably pushing in that direction of coming back in a bigger way in the future. But for now, like, this seems like a pretty good attendance for Tokyo Game Show. Like you were saying earlier, it feels like this is something that a lot of companies feel like they have to take more seriously now that E3 is not providing the same platform it used to, right?
Yeah, I mean, between this and Gamescom, as I presciently said earlier, because I hadn't scrolled down, it definitely feels like people have stuff to show, as now that we're leaving the area where COVID really knocked things back scheduling wise, and people are like, well, I got a ton of shit. If I do my own show, it's okay, but there's all these big things that I can now come to. I can go to Tokyo Game Show. Like, I know Xbox was there with a bunch of Game Pass stuff like Ni no Kuni and Fuga and some other things last year. I really hope they do pick back up and they get there, and eventually maybe somehow Repop gets it together and we do get an E3-ish thing, or Jeff's thing keeps growing, because we're just going to have so many different things to talk about. When it's all splintered and pulled apart, it's not nearly as both from covering it and from just trying to keep up with it as a fan. It's so much easier when things are condensed. So I am all for it.
Yep, but it definitely seems like it's spreading out. We hear a lot of publishers were considering Comic-Con this year. I don't know if that's panning out. Maybe it does. Maybe it will. But I
think Spider-Man 2 just said they're going to be there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. And that makes sense, especially this year with the writer's strike. Video games feel like they can get more of the spotlight, and they're probably correct about that. Although I don't plan to go to Comic-Con. But maybe that changes. Maybe my tune changes on that next year, because it's like, oh, well, a lot of stuff did happen at Comic-Con. We got to go. But yeah, Comic-Con, Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, PAX, and then everyone have their own events. These things are going to be more frequent, I think. And I think it's more likely that these things happen next year even, and into the future, where it's like more of these events kind of get spread out and these companies don't settle on any one thing. Although maybe the Key 3 stuff still ends up being kind of the king.
TGA will probably still end up being the big one, because that's the one that gets the most viewership.
Yes, so. Right. The game, yes, for that time of year, the Game Awards, and then in the summer, like, there is no obvious one king, I don't think, but it may be. I still think Game Award, or I'm sorry, the Summer Game Fest will probably be the closest.
Yeah, if Game Fest gets big enough, and especially because Microsoft never left that time frame, if Nintendo and Sony keep staying at least close to it, then it feels more like an approximation of the things we liked. You don't get the industry benefits with the trade show, but still, we get our fun stuff.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So let's see here. Last story here. Apple has reportedly scaled back its Vision Pro production targets. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Apple has reportedly significantly scaled back its production targets for its long-anticipated mixed reality headset Vision Pro. Announced during its worldwide developer conference in June, the headset will cost $3,499 real human American dollars when it launches in the US in early 2024. Billed as Apple's first spatial computer, Vision Pro will also be released in more countries later next year. According to a Financial Times report, Apple once had internal sales target of 1 million units during Vision Pro's first year on the market. However, this has reportedly been reduced due to the complexity of the headset design and manufacturing difficulties. I wonder if demand is a factor there as well, Jesse. What do you think?
It's Apple. I don't know. So I would always say with Apple, like generally you should avoid their first 1 or 2 generations, because then they really, like the iPhone 3, I think was the one that really picked up. The first couple iPads were all right. But they weren't $3,500.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. They've got a lot of customers and a lot of customers that will pay a lot of money. So there's always a chance. But then I think people are going to see this and use this, and it's going to look so stupid, and they're probably going to get sick wearing it too much, because that just happens for most people in VR of any type, and AR with the screen and things in front of you. Like, I know people that have tried AR stuff, and a lot of times if there's something floating in front of you here and you're trying to see something behind, and it just ends up making you get the tummy rumbles real bad, real quick. So I don't know that, no matter how cool science fiction makes stuff like this work, I don't think it's going to end up working that well for a lot of people. So $1 million does seem very ambitious, but it's Apple.
Yes. Some of these numbers here are saying like 400,000. Others are saying suppliers claim that Apple's only asking for enough components to make 130,000 to 150,000. That million number does seem very ambitious. I'm like, has the Steam Deck? The Steam Deck has probably sold more than 1 million, but not that much more than 1 million.
I thought it was like a couple, like
maybe this. Have we had numbers? Yeah. I don't remember. I
remember hearing that somewhere, but I could be, my memory could be off.
It's entirely possible. It feels like 1 million, maybe on their way to 2-3 million for a Steam Deck seems possible. That's like, one of the best selling PCs, of the last couple of years. The Steam Deck at a couple of million, if you like count each PC as its own unit or whatever, its own SKU.
Okay. Steam Deck to break 3.47 million unit sales in 2023, according to our friend Derek over at Tweettown.
Okay.
You read an article.
Right. Again, I would love to know the exact sourcing on that stuff.
Yeah. It was, Christ, it's written up at the top here.
Someone's saying 1.62 million as well. Analysts. Okay.
Analysts. Omidia? I can't. Yeah, Omdia. That's the name.
Clearly it's north of 1 million, but like between 1.5 and 3 million, I think in that range is a completely fine place to put it. And that's like, we do see the demand when we look around for the Steam Deck, right? Where you could look around and you could see people being excited about it, and the pricing is very aggressive for one of those things. So it's like, there's a lot of factors going in the favor of that device. And we're talking about, more than 1 million, not that much more than 1 million. Now you go like the factor here that you have to consider, just like what you said, it's Apple, so who knows? But I $3,500 is a lot of money. The idea that there's 1 million people out there in the first year dropping 1 million or dropping 3,500 on this, that's really hard for me to believe.
And it's not shareable, and it's not something you can show off while you're using. Like, that's always the problem with VR and AR is it's one person. People's faces are gross. You don't want to share that with other people. Like, you're spending $3,500 to use this yourself, because you're not going to give this to your kids. You maybe give it to your wife, but after wiping it down a ton. Like, it's such a limiting thing. And I just don't see anything like this really taking off until it literally is just a little pair of glasses you put on that everyone can do. And there's a way for other people to see it. Like, that's one place Valve really hit hard is spectator modes. Like, if you're playing Half-Life Alyx, it gives you a really good spectator mode. So if there are other people around, they can see what you're doing, that type of stuff. But with a headset like this, it's just, I'm going to go sit on the couch and ignore everyone for an hour while I use it until the battery dies, because I got to look at these spreadsheets and creepy-ass FaceTime with my eyes being shown through.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that happens with Apple, the way that they sell things is It's an accessory. It is a part of your aesthetic. It is you have the cool new thing. It's shiny and you can feel good about having it. I think that's not the primary factor for most people, but it definitely helps. It helps you talk yourself into spending the money, the extra money on the Apple tax for some of these things where it's like, that's it costs more, but I really like using it and this and that, and the battery life is really good, and also I look cool when I use it.
It'll integrate correctly with all their stuff, which is always their key selling point. Is like, yeah, we're super locked down compared to Windows and Android, but it just works. And for a certain segment of people, that's all they want. But I just don't see how this. Okay, great. This integrates really well with my Mac, but it's just a headset. It's just another way to do the exact same stuff.
Right, and it's they're not. I do not think people are going to be like wearing these outside in their lives and like. Wearing them to the bar.
You can just yank it off your head or you forget it somewhere. Like it's rough, man.
Exactly. So it's like I think these things are going to be hidden away in people's homes, and and they're not going to be too. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there'll be virality to it.
The place it's really going to be for is if you're doing like industrial design work or something, and you need to be able to see what you're like. It's not. It's weird that it's being, well, I get why they're doing it, but it definitely feels like the HoloLens has become an industrial and working as a doctor, and you're looking at different things. Like that's where HoloLens took off, and Microsoft sort of slowly killed off any gaming aspirations. Because like, well, if we're going to make this good enough, it's got to be $2,000 to $4,000, and no normal person's going to pay that. And Apple's like, you know what? Our customers might.
And they're usually right about that. They tend to be, although we'll see. This story sounds right to me. If their goal was 1 million, which is the kind of thing Apple would say, and now they're cutting it down to 150,000 to 400,000, that also sounds right. Okay, we have the poll from last week. Let's go ahead and bring it up. I am giving everybody my poll now. Do you play sports games? 9% say I play sports sims. 70% say I play arcade sports. 20% say I play both, and 53% say I don't play any sports games. This came because there was a rumor about an arcade NFL game. Not rumor. It was announced.
Yeah, the one with Kaepernick.
Yes, the one with Colin Kaepernick, and it looked pretty good. It looks solid. Yeah. It's from the Playgrounds. Do
you consider a battle royale a sports game because hunting humans is the greatest sport?
I do. Of course I do. So of course I love sports games. Yes, that's. Shooting's a sport in the Olympics, so every shooter is also a sport.
So are video games now in the worst fucking way imaginable.
That's right. What I saw that, I was like, I have paid attention. What are they doing?
There's a VR Taekwondo game. It's mostly mobile.
Yeah,
it's mostly companies companies bid. There's literally just video game chess. I think it's so stupid. But the Olympics are stupid.
Yes, the Olympics are pretty stupid. Yes.
Olympic athletes are great. The company that the organization that runs the Olympics, though, the worst.
Yes, yeah. The people that compete in the Olympics, inspiring, and I love that. And I usually enjoy watching them compete, even. But you're right. The IOC, yes, the Olympic, the International Olympic Committee, and all the stuff they've done, pretty stupid, and you can see how stupid they are with what they're doing with video games. Okay, I have a new poll I'll get posted, but in the meantime, Jesse, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet when you get back from your vacation?
When I'm back from vacation this Saturday, you can always watch us on the Xbox Era podcast, where we've had this man, Jeff Grubb, quite often. We need to have you again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do Name a Game now, where I just do a bunch of synonyms for video game names, and they're really stupid, and you got to guess the actual game. It's fun.
I like quizzes.
Yeah. So it's just xboxera.com. Everything's at the top. YouTube.com // Xbox Era. We'll be covering all the way too many games that are coming out, like Remnant 2, which I'm hoping to get on PC as well as Xbox so I can play with you, Jeff.
Yes, but, that would be fun.
But yeah, xboxera.com. That's where everything we do is. Thank you.
All right. The new poll is going to be about the PS5 Slim pricing. What do you think the price of the PS5 Slim is going to be? And then we'll give you a couple options. We'll say 400 to 500, 500. You know what? Actually, let's do 400 to 450.
450.
Yeah. And then 450 to 500, and then Oh, 451. There we go. Now we're making sense. And then 501 to 550 because that is
it's 549.99, and
yes.
I hate how I hate how that works. 550 looks like more to me than 549, and I hate that.
I mean, that's exactly why they do it. That's literally the exact reason why they do it. The rounded off numbers look bigger to people, so they do the 1 penny less because all the jumbled numbers looks like less money somehow. I guess supposedly, technically, it is. It's 1 penny less. All right. We'll get that posted on youtube.com/@giantbomb/community. It's under the community tab there on YouTube. Be sure to vote in that, and we will discuss it tomorrow on the show. I'll have Jan back. It'll be back to that. It'll be a good time. In the meantime, though, Jesse, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for pinging me out of bed to have me on.
I always know I can count on you, and I'm sure I'll reach out to you while you're gone and be like, "Oh, that's right, you're gone." That's actually what happened. Where I'm like, "Oh, that's right, Lucy's busy today. She's down on assignment," and I didn't realize until like half an hour ago. But hey, we got a show done. We figured it out.
We did it.
Giant Bomb, everybody. We will have another episode tomorrow. For the rest of this week, it's a short week. We have some stuff up. I can't remember. I think we're doing a B Light Club. I think we're playing Helldivers today, which I'm like very excited about. I never played it, but I think we're gonna all grab the Steam version and play that.
Be patient. That game is punishing if you are a little aggressive. You gotta be patient.
Well, then I'm screwed because I am the least patient video game player on the planet. I remember Mike really likes Mega Man. I think Mega Man is fine, but I never clicked with it, and he was like, "Well, we'll do this thing. Well, I'll coach you to like get your mindset right for that game." And it was like, "Oh, you got to play Mega Man by waiting a lot of times and making sure that you really know what your next move is going to be." And if you ever watch me play like Super Mario Brothers, it's just like, nope, fucking go, fucking run, don't ever stop, all gas, no brakes, just without the sexual harassment of that guy. And yeah, that's how I play games, and so I'm very impatient, and I look forward to having Helldivers punish me for that. All right, let's see here. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Until then, however, take care of yourself, have a good one, and goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Time to go back.
We did it.